Welcome back, everybody. It's now time for our final talk of BelPy 2021. Booker T. Washington nicely said, nothing ever comes to one that is worth having except as a result of hard work. So our final speaker for the day is from the lead panel, Jatin Gupta sir, who is a data scientist at IBM, and he will deliver a talk on the topic, ethical considerations in artificial intelligence and cloud computing systems. So over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Varun, for that kind introduction. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, you are.
Okay, great. So I'll start sharing my screen now. The host has disabled participant screen sharing.
So you can try now.
Okay, is my screen visible now?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, great. So a very good evening to all of you, or a very good morning, or a very good afternoon, depending on what part of the world you're in. Today, we are going to talk about ethical considerations in artificial intelligence and cloud computing systems. Before I start, a very small introduction about myself. As Varun said, I'm a data scientist at IBM. So my work involves working with artificial intelligence, machine learning, natural language processing. Apart from that, I also work a lot on the cloud. I'm a Google Cloud Platform certified professional cloud architect, and I'm also an AWS certified machine learning engineer. Apart from that, I also have 3 certifications in Azure fundamentals. So I'm very well versed with the cloud. So let's start with today's discussion. So before we start, I think I really want to set the objectives of this talk. This talk, mind you, is not supposed to be a one-stop solution for all the ethical problems which are there in the world right now. The primary objective of this talk, the primary objective of the presentation which is about to come, is to be a good starting point for all of us, to have a conversation, to get curious about what are ethics in AI, what are the implications of that, and how possibly can we mitigate them on the level of an individual developer and also on the level of an organization as a whole. So, as a data scientist, I work with artificial intelligence all the time. And I think the most beautiful thing about artificial intelligence is that I get to see something new every day. I wake up on Tuesday morning and I see this news that, now AI model is being used to detect asymptomatic COVID-19 infections through something as simple as a cell phone recorded cough. So that to me personally is very amazing, and that keeps me in the field. Some other day, I see that a machine learning framework is being used to bring the Mona Lisa to life. A painting as static as this is now being able to talk, all because of the beautiful technology of artificial intelligence. Or some other day, I see this robot named Stevie who is hosting a bingo night for the elderly people in the USA. And mind you, this particular robot is not just conversing, is not just serving them food or playing bingo with them. This robot is also having live interactions with them. So, this is how advanced presently AI is in the world. However, we need to understand that as AI becomes more widespread, as AI becomes more powerful, uh, we AI also needs to become more responsible. Satya Nadella recently said in an interview that the golden question of our age is not how powerful or how many problems AI can solve. It is actually how responsible AI is, and I completely agree with that. You see, presently that I'm working at IBM, I'm working with clients and I'm trying to solve problems for users, and I'm trying to solve problems which potentially impact hundreds and thousands of millions of people around the world. So I need to make sure that, so I'm not, so as a data scientist or even as a developer, I'm not just a developer in isolation. I am an I'm an agent of change, and I'm a person who can potentially impact millions of people around the world. So I need to be responsible in that. Uh, you see, for example, when I see news articles like this, in which an artificial intelligence algorithm was doing investments on the basis of some people, and that resulted in huge monetary losses. So so a lot of investors, a lot of companies actually sued an algorithm. Or when I see this particular example where artificial intelligence was used to create a painting. I mean, if you really want to create, if you really want to call it a painting, but it was used to create a painting which was ultimately sold for $432,000, which was nearly 45 times its high estimate. Or when I look at this particular news where Amazon initially was using an AI tool to recruit people, and it was inherently biased against women. For example, in any of the resumes, if it saw keywords such as women or women chess player, or if there were any women undergraduates, it automatically gave that particular resume, that particular profile less preference as compared to those of men. So when I look at all these examples, when I look at all these things which are happening, I often wonder to myself, who is to blame here, and who gets the blame when things go wrong, who gets the credit when things go right. Is it the user? Is it the machine? Is it the AI model itself? Is it the company, or is it the developer? Honestly, as I said before, I do not have answers to all those questions. But definitely, um, these are very confusing questions and also very interesting questions, which we would explore further in these slides. So also, I by mistake I clicked on the presentation, but this was supposed to be anticipated. So what I really mean to say is that every AI life cycle primarily has three emotions involved in it. First, there is a lot of excitement because of the kind of solution that you've built. Then there is a lot of hope because now you see that, okay, you've built a beautiful model. Now you see that particular model solving problem for, say, one use case. Now you wonder if that problem, that particular solution, that particular algorithm can be used to solve many more problems. And then that is ultimately followed by fear. Because after developing your AI model, your AI system, you realize that, wow, you have actually created a beast. You have created a very powerful model, and now you have to find a way to tame it. So there is a bit of fear as well that, okay, right now, me, Jatin Gupta, I am using it for the greater good of the society, but what if some other random person X might use it for the detriment of the society? So these are the three emotions which I believe are involved in every AI lifecycle. A very simple example adhering to this is GPT-3. I hope you guys are aware of GPT-3. If you're not, so GPT-3 is a language model which was developed by OpenAI to I'll just take one use case. It enables you to create news articles just by typing some simple English commands, or it enables you to create web pages using simple English commands. You don't have to be well versed with JavaScript or HTML or CSS in order to build websites. You just have to type it in plain English. It will let you know what it can do. But at the same time, GPT-3 can be used to create fake news. So now this is one wonderful example of AI being used for the greater good of the society, but at the same time, it can be used for wrecking chaos in the world as we know. So just some things to ponder about. This is just a random snippet which I found on Google. I searched for bad use cases of UI of AI on Google Images, and these are the articles that I found. So this is just one example where facial recognition or computer vision, in a way, is turning racist. Or when you look at some chatbots turning racist, or you see some other AI technology being partial towards the lower income countries. So again, all of these things, they really make me wonder whether AI is being used for the greater good or is it not. And if you're still not convinced that we need to talk about the ethical implications of AI, let me just crunch some numbers. Let me put down some numbers. So there was a survey which was done by Deloitte in 2018. Also, by the way, please feel free to stop me if you have any questions, or please put them on chat. A kind note to the organizers, please let me know if there are any questions. So just here, just some numbers. There was a survey conducted in 2018 by Deloitte, which said that 32% of executives rank ethical implications of AI as one of their top three AI-related concerns. Again, this was followed up by a 2019 Capgemini report, which said that if consumers of AI faced any ethical issues, 41% of them said that they would complain, 36% of them said they would demand an explanation, and a staggering 34% said they would completely stop interacting with the company. Another 2020 report said that trust in business is at an all-time low, leading to public embarrassment, scandals, and monetary losses. And this fourth point that I've written, I'm sure that you won't find this point in any of the annual reports, but this is something which I believe. And if you genuinely care about your employees, your customers, and the world around you, you should care about AI ethics. So now that we have established the importance and the significance of ethical considerations in AI, I want to primarily touch upon these five areas of ethical focus. Why these five? Because I mean, there are many. There are over 20, 30 parameters of ethical considerations in AI. But I want to focus on these five for two reasons. Firstly, because of the paucity of time that we have today. And secondly, because these five are the most common and the most troubling AI issues, AI ethical issues that we have right now. So the first one that we have, accountability. As I questioned before as well, right? Who is to blame? Who should take credit? Is it the user? Is it the AI itself? Is it the machine? Is it the company? Who is it? So basically, who is accountable for the things that go wrong and the things that go right? So that's basically accountability. And there was a survey which was done by Stack Overflow in 2019, which asked people that it asked people that who is responsible for considering the AI design development decision process and outcomes. 60% of people said that AI designers and developers are responsible for that. However, I tend to disagree with that because I believe that when we talk about accountability, every person involved in the creation of AI at any step is accountable. Be it the product manager, be it the project manager, be it the investors in your company, uh, be it the UI, UX people, be it the developers, be it the designers, everyone, whoever is responsible in the AI lifecycle is responsible, is accountable for it. Because ultimately, it is humans who write all algorithms, who define success or failure, who make decisions about the users of systems, and who may be affected by systems outcomes. Uh, Again, when I when I put this slide of recommended steps, this is not supposed to be a one-stop solution to all the problems, but these are some recommended steps that I would suggest to you on a personal level as well as at an organizational level. So it's very important for company policies to be clear, and it's very important for them to be accessible to design and development teams, because ultimately they are the ones who are working on the field. They are the ones who are actually working on the product the most. So it's very important for them to have all these documents. Secondly, you need to understand this. I think this point is very important. Understand where the responsibility of the company or the software ends. There are some AI systems, some AI services in which there's a lot of user control. So you need to understand how much as a company, as a software you can do. If most of the interactions are done by the user, you cannot possibly be responsible for everything that happens. So it's very important for you to draw that boundary. Thirdly, keep detailed records of your design process and decision making. This will help you in two ways. Firstly, it will help you to understand if things go wrong, then who is accountable for it. Is it the people at the top of the hierarchy? Is it the designer? Is it the developer? Secondly, it will also help you in another parameter which we will discuss later, which is explainability, that you want to be transparent with your users. And if they ever ask you anything about the design process, you would be able to completely explain it if you have a detailed records of your design process. Fourth, adhere to your company's guidelines and also any of the international laws or regulations. For example, there's a policy in the European Union General Data Protection Act. So so that is just one example of the many international regulations which are there. So comply to that. Secondly, explainability, which I was talking about earlier as well. So as AI is becoming more and more complex, and AI is becoming more and more widespread, it is very important for humans, for the actual users to understand what exactly is happening. Uh, AI should be designed to perceive, it should be designed for humans to easily perceive, detect, and understand its decision process. Please understand that right now in this particular conference, for example, I think most of the people here are tech oriented people, right? That's why we are here attending this conference. But please understand that most of the end users of AI systems are not from a technical background. So if you explain to them as something as simple as a just the very basics of a machine learning model, even that might be something extremely difficult for them. So make sure that you are able to explain your AI process to people as if they're a 5-year-old. Uh, a decision making process should be explainable in terms people can understand, as I said before. Explainability is key for users interacting with AI to understand the AI's conclusion and recommendations. Your users should always be aware that they're interacting with an AI. A very simple example, Netflix. So Netflix uses a recommendation engine to recommend to us the movies, the TV shows that we watch. For example, if it is recommending me a movie like The White Tiger, which came out recently. So if I want to know from Netflix as to, hey, listen, why are you recommending me The White Tiger and not some other movie? Then I don't expect them to tell me the exact algorithm which went behind the recommendation engine. But if in layman's terms they could tell me that this is exactly what is happening and this is exactly why we are recommending, that would be great. Also understand good design does not sacrifice transparency. Uh, of course, your UI needs to be seamless, it needs to be smooth, but at the same time, it does not have to sacrifice on the very essentials of transparency. Some recommended steps allow for questions and try to answer them. Secondly, decision-making processes must be reviewable, especially if the AI is working with highly sensitive personal information data. Um, for example, their first name, last name, their credit card information, their phone number, etc. When an AI is assisting users with making any highly sensitive decisions, the AI must be able to provide them with a sufficient explanation. As I said, if I need an explanation for something, I should get it. Teams should have and maintain access to a record of an AI's decision processes. In cases when entire processes cannot be explained, for example, financial investment algorithm, something like what I said with Netflix as well, you cannot expect to be explained the entire process, but just be very, very clear about the intent that, hey, I mean to do good and this is why I've done it. And just a very basic layout of why you're recommending what you're recommending. Third, user data rights. I think this is again very essential, and this is so important right now, especially with so many of the big tech giants such as Facebook, Google, Amazon, Netflix being in trouble because of not perhaps catering to the general data protection regulation, or leaking their users' data. So AI must be designed to protect user data and preserve the user's power over access and users. Your company should be compliant with, as I said, GDPR, which is the European Union Regulation Act, or any other regulation which is there in your country. If there is one in India, you should be complying with that. Just a survey which was done by Deloitte in 2020, 74% of Americans, they like to be in control. Then them being in control of their data is the most important thing to them. 71% of European Union citizens believe that it is unacceptable for companies to share their data. And this is the fourth point is very important, that users' data should be protected from theft, misuse, or data corruption. Some recommended steps: users should always maintain control over what data is being used and in what context. If, for example, you're asking for the user's phone number, then they should be told explicitly as to why you're asking for the phone number and what exactly would it be used for. Provide full disclosure on how the personal information is being used or shared, as I said before. Allow users to deny service or data by having the AI ask for permission. So every time you ask for the data, make sure that instead of just providing them a reason as to why you're taking the data, provide them with a very simple yes or no, which and they should be able to say no without being penalized for their no in order to access a certain service. Forbid use of another company's data without permission when creating a new AI service. For example, if I'm working in IBM, so I should try to, if I'm working on a project which, say, a company like Accenture is also working on, so I should try to avoid taking Accenture's data for that particular client for my own client. Fifthly, learn from Facebook. And I don't mean it in the nicest way possible. So in the 2016 US presidential elections, Facebook leaked the data of millions of users to Cambridge Analytica, which was responsible for the election campaign of Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. So when I say so don't do that. So when I say learn from Facebook, I'm not saying they're a role model. I'm saying that learn from their mistakes and learn what not to do when it comes to user data rights. Fourth, value alignment. Uh, and again, another essential component of AI ethics. AI should be designed to align with the norms and values of your user group in mind. For example, if you're designing a product which is specifically catered to the elderly, then that particular product needs to be designed differently as compared to, say, if you're designing a product for kids or for people 40 below. So please make sure of that. Also understand that people make decisions on the basis of experiences, memories, upbringing, and cultural norms. However, so there's a lot of context involved. However, when it comes to AI, when it comes to a machine learning model, if you guys are aware of the basics, then for a machine learning model, there is just a very simple label of right or wrong, which is there. There is no nuance, there is no context. So that is where it is the responsibility of designers and developers to introduce that context in AI systems, and they have to make sure that there is sensitivity towards values of people. If machines engage in human communities as autonomous agents, then those agents will be expected to follow the community's social and moral norms. Some recommended steps. Values are very subjective. What may be my ethics, my morals, my values, they might not be yours. So please understand that and design your product in such a way that it is sensitive to as many different values as it can be. Of course, it is not humanly possible for you to be sensitive to all the communities in the world, but try to be as sensitive as you can be. Second, beware of well-meaning ill. uh, what I mean to say by that is, for example, we often talk about, in the design world, we often talk about services and technologies being tailor fit for a user. However, when it comes to news feeds, perhaps it's best for that news feed to not be tailor fit, because the problem with a tailor fit news feed is that if a person is, say, a bit of a right wing or a bit of a left wing, then if you give them news articles which are just centered around right wing or left wing, then they would further go into that loop. They would further become more left wing and right wing, and then there would be less tolerance on the side of that particular person. So beware of where you need to have your products and services tailor fit or not. Thirdly, consider mapping out your understanding of your users and values, the AI's actions. You can try the ethics canvas. This is a wonderful tool which I also use. In fact, I have opened it because I thought I will show you guys. Uh, so what this basically does is, this is a product which is developed by the Trinity College Dublin, if I'm not wrong. So here, just a very small demo. Here, what you can do is you can actually define what are the individuals affected by a product, what is the kind of behavior that they usually do, and what can we do about it, what are different worldviews, groups affected, etc., etc. So this basically helps you brainstorm the initial discussion surrounding AI ethics. So for example, if I know if I'm building a chatbot, which is specifically for the elderly people, so I know that the old people would be primarily affected by that, who are 60 years and above. I know that most of them like to converse in their local languages, which is Spanish. So as an AI developer, as a designer, what can I do about it? I can perhaps, create a chatbot which is, say, which translates to Spanish. Sorry for the spelling, but you get the point. So this helps you uh, basically chart out like a very basic framework of your entire design. So you can go ahead and use this if you want. Um, yeah. So alignment will allow users to better understand your AI's actions and intents. Some Yeah. So fairness, I think, out of I intentionally am covering this in the last one second. I am intentionally covering this in the last because I think this is by far the most important topic of them all, and I want us to have a small demo on this as well. So AI must be designed to minimize bias and promote inclusive representation. What this means is that you don't want your AI to be partial towards a certain gender or age group or race. Humans are inherently biased, whether we like to admit it or not. We are all biased towards some or the other classes. And we need to be cautious that we do not manifest those biases into our AI systems. Then, thirdly, role of a responsible team is to minimize that algorithmic bias through ongoing research and data collection, which is representative of a diverse population. For example, if I'm creating a product which is specifically for the Indian market, since India is such a diverse nation, I should try to cover as many different religious groups, as many different genders, as many different age groups which are there in India as a whole. But also at the same time, please understand that removing all the biases is like eating healthy all the time. It is just not possible. I say this because I actively try to eat healthy, but even I, fail most of the times. And as an AI developer, as an AI practitioner, please understand that removing all the biases is just not possible. What we can do is try to remove as many as we can. Because presently there are around 100 biases which exist. So it might be the case that you mitigate one bias, but you introduce another. So please be careful. It's about choosing which one is less worse and not about which one is better. So make sure you make that distinction. So where can biases creep in though? This is not a talk on machine learning, but if I just talk about the basics of machine learning, so the very first step of machine learning is training the data, in which we have some features or sort of independent variables, and we have one dependent variable which is our label. So features could be something like a gender or age or race. I'm so sorry, and our uh, our dependent variable or our label could be something like say whether we approve a loan or not. So it could be like a classification problem where we say that the loan was approved, yes or no. And then we have machine learning algorithms. We have many different algorithms, And when our model is trained, ultimately we test our model on some test data, and we make some predictions, and we match that with the data set that we have, and we try to determine whether our test set was whether our machine learning model which we built, how much was its accuracy, how much was its precision, how much was its efficacy. So that is the very crux of machine learning. I'm not going to get into that, but my point is that our biases can creep into these three stages. It can creep into the training data. Our training data could be biased in itself. It could be more biased towards men. It could be more biased towards people less than 20 years old. Secondly, our machine learning algorithms could be biased in themselves, in the sense that they might favor a certain particular class. And thirdly, our test data in itself can also be biased. So these are the three different areas where our data can be biased. So in order to actually, if just a quick question, how much time do I have left?
Actually, you have exceeded the allotted time.
Okay, I'm
Uh,
so sorry, Gajendra. I think you
so
have your closing address as well, right?
yeah, in 5 minutes you can conclude.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'll
Yeah,
do that. I'm so
yeah.
sorry. Yeah. So, okay. So just a quick demo of a tool which we have here at IBM. Again, I'm not trying to sell IBM here. I'm just trying to show you the way that we can mitigate bias. So for example, if I take this one sample data set in which we are trying to determine whether a person's credit should be approved or not based on a machine learning model. So we use this data set, then we try to load that. We check whether there is any bias or not. Just one second. So right now it's checking whether, so you can load your own data set here as well, by the way. So here it's checking. So there are two protected attributes. There is one gender or sex, which is male or female. So we see that there is no bias here, 0 out of 5 metrics. Then we have age. We see that the privileged group is old and the unprivileged is young. And we see that there is a bias in 4 out of these 5 metrics. And now that we see that there are five metrics, there are 4 metrics in which there is a bias, then we can try to mitigate that. So as I said, that the bias can exist at three different stages. It can exist at the training level. So these two particular techniques can be used to mitigate bias at the training level: reweighing and optimized preprocessing. If there's a problem with our algorithm, then we use adversarial debiasing. And if there is a problem with the test data, then we use reject option-based classification. So presently, just for the fun, I'll use adversarial debiasing just to show you guys how it works. So now we mitigate it. It will just take a couple of seconds. And now if we, so this was already unbiased, so no problem there. But if you look at this, now there was bias in 4 of the metrics, and it resolved for 1 out of those 4. Now, for example, if you look at this particular value says that as close to 0 would be perfect. Earlier it was 0.27, now it is 0.8. So our bias is sort of removed. Not removed, but lessened definitely. For this, the ideal value is 1. So it should be as close to 1 as possible. Earlier it was 0.48, here it's 0.77. So my idea here is, again, you can't completely mitigate all of the biases, but definitely you can try your level best, and you can make use of this tool if you can. I'll send the link to you. Similarly, there are notebooks which do the same in terms of Python code. So you can do that as well. So that is there. Some recommended steps. I think I've crossed the time too much, so I won't take much of your time. Just the last slide for you guys. Some question that you can ask your team. How do we create the best user experience with the minimum amount of required user data? What types of sensitive personal data does the AI utilize, and how will this data be protected? How can we diagnose and mitigate any biases in our data before it affects user experience? Very important. How do we make our AI explainable without hampering the user experience or distracting them from the task at hand? How do we change or adjust the values reflected by our AI as our values evolve over time? How does, and this, the last question I believe is very, very important. How does accountability change according to the levels of user influence over an AI system? So with that, there was a lot more that I wanted to discuss with all of you, but I think I have exceeded the time by a lot. So I'm very sorry, Gajendra, for that. But I think that's my talk. Thank you so much for listening. And if any of you have any questions, if any of you want to connect with me, otherwise you can always reach out to me. My LinkedIn is this, Jatin Gupta 27. Thank you so much. Over to you, Gajendra.
Thank you very much, uh, Jatin Gupta sir, for your unbiased talk. I'd say it was really great having you over here and hearing from you. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that was our final talk for today. And with this, we come to the end of BelPy 2021. So, before we close, our co-chair, Gajendra Deshpande sir, would like to speak a few words.
Yeah. So first of all, I would like to thank Jatin. Uh, uh, Despite of his personal problems, right, he just called me on Friday. Because of some personal problems, we had to shift his talk, and this was the only available slot. I appreciate Jatin. He has come for the community and delivered the talk. So his talk was really nice. Uh, the thing is, I come from a different background. So Jatin, you are from technical background. Of course, I am also from technical background, but recently I have added the flavor of law to it. So I had done a post-graduation diploma in cyber law and cyber forensics, and there was a dissertation. So I chose the dissertation topic as uh, legal possibility of regulating AI. So that was my topic. So I usually see AI from regulatory perspective. So I understand technology, but my point of view will be from the regulations. So AI is still in a very basic stage as we know it. And when I made a study during my dissertation, I found out that not many countries, of course, almost all countries, they don't have any policies in place. There are policies, but they are still, say, very basic, and there is no regulating authority. So, in my work, what I had done was I had proposed a solution that there has to be periodic regulatory check for the violation of the software. Uh, so in that way, I think we can mitigate the damages done by the bias or some other aspects of AI. And second one is we know that due to the technology, there are no boundaries. So AI crime can happen at any time, any place, and anywhere. So for there also we need to have a international regulatory authority which will handle the issues between countries which happen due to AI. So these were my two recommendations. I think it's a really great talk. We can, but my point is that we can use the technology, such as whatever you have mentioned, the fairness packages, AF 360. That's one tool which we can embed into the policy software, which can actually check the violation of the software. So
Did we lose him?
I guess power supply would have gone.
Yeah. So I'll just share the link of the slides in a few. Okay, Varun?
Let's wait for a minute or so. Maybe he'll rejoin. Uh, let's wait.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so just power went. So I had to connect with my uh, mobile phone. So, so I'll quickly conclude. So that the last point is that we can use technology to frame the policy and check the policy violations. Thank you, Jatin. It was really a great talk. And definitely there are many projects which we are undertaking through our BelPy community. So we also have a PyData chapter and we can have your detailed talk there. And also we are coming up with a website called as pythonschool.org, where the goal is to provide Python courses free of cost to everyone. And these courses will be built by the volunteers of the community. And definitely I would like to have one course from you on this AI ethics and its implementation.
Surely,
Okay,
Gajendra. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
thank you, Jatin. Yeah, thank you, Jatin. So if there are any questions, you can ask quickly, just one or two questions. Otherwise, I will continue with my closing address.
Hi Gajendra, I have one question for Jatin.
Go ahead, sir.
My question is, so Jatin mentioned in his slide that mentioned some news like the facial recognition system is biased toward the people with the lighter skin tone. Okay. So my question is, let's say I am someone wants to create a facial recognition system for India. Okay. So we have people with a diverse skin tone, right? So what should we do? What does Jatin suggest, that we should create our own facial recognition system, or we can do something with the state of the art facial recognition system so that it works for India also?
So you're absolutely right. Firstly, thank you for that great question. So you're right. So where we see CV, computer vision, or facial recognition systems being partial towards Black people, similarly, we can see the same towards people of like a lighter skin tone in India. You're absolutely right. So the problem there is not with the recognition system itself. I think the problem again would be there in the training data set. So what we can do in this particular case in India's example would be that we can actually have more of corpus for lighter skinned people. We can artificially add more corpus for lighter skinned people so that there is more equality in the training data set itself. Because the problem is not with the algorithm and the problem is not with the testing data set. The primary problem of this again would be that your historical data or your training data in itself would be biased. So again, my recommendation would be that again, one, it's not a one solution fit all sort of area. But then again, very vaguely, I can say that if we tweak with the training data set, I think we would be able to like have a more ethical or a more fair uh, facial recognition system. Does that answer your question?
So what you said is that we will use that state of the art facial recognition system,
Hmm.
but we will train with the data from, I mean, which includes people from India also, images of people from India also.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
So no, so I'm not saying that you need to use state of the art facial recognition system. I think the problem is not with the technology.
Okay.
The problem is with the data set that you train the technology on. So your facial recognition system can be something which you have been using all this while. It does not have the novelty does not have to be in the recognition system itself. The novelty has to be in the training data set. So for example, I'll just take a very simple example. Say in your training data set, presently for India's case, you have 80% of the people who are a bit darker toned and 20% you have a bit on the lighter tone. So what a potential solution in that could be that you could add more faces which are lighter toned. You could artificially make them the darker tone people that you saw in your training data set. Maybe you can, again, artificially make them lighter to make your corpus a bit more equal. That's what I meant, not with the technology in itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you meant to say that can we say that it would be kind of a data augmentation kind of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello. Hey, Jatin. This is Shiddu.
Hi, Shiddu.
Yeah, hi. See, India has such a, means the population is so huge and many languages are there here, and the same languages has many accents, right? So collection of data for training, if we want to build something, voice recognition systems or something like that, or using voice recognition, we want to do something. What is the way to collect the data? Is there anything you can suggest, or if you have done some research or something on that?
Sir, I can talk with respect to, if you talk about voice recognition systems, so you're usually talking about IVR systems, right? So when we talk about that, so for example, Google has its IVR system called Dialogflow, and that system presently supports, if I'm not wrong, 108 languages, out of which presently none of them are, I think, indigenous to India. So, for example, I think they're not presently supporting Tamil or Telugu or Kannada or any of the less used languages. I won't say less used, but then again, not as common as Hindi. So, I think in that particular case, there are two things that we can do. I think firstly, uh, some of the big tech giants such as Google, Microsoft, Amazon, even IBM for that matter, which has its own services, I think they need to support these local languages. So that is one step that can be done, but I think that's a very far away solution. Secondly, I think on a more personal level, on a developer level, um, I think there can be replication of the training data set, in the sense that if you have, say, 5 or 6 uh, examples of speeches in Tamil, then perhaps you can replicate and have 20, 30 more, and similarly you can do for other languages. And you can create like a corpus for yourself and then try to train it. Again, I don't think presently there is a situation, sir, but definitely we can do that in the future.
Yeah, just a follow-up question on that about the policy. Consider in some way I use the voice or I record some conversations randomly, in from different parts of the country. So will that also be like a problem when the policies or some rules and regulations in our country, if anything is
No,
there like that?
I didn't understand. So data collection in isolation, I think, of course, would not be a problem. You can collect data as long as you have the consent of the individual, and as long as it's from a publicly derived source. I think it should not be a problem. I think Gajendra also can have his inputs on that. I think in terms of a policy standpoint, it should not be a problem.
Okay. I think you directed me to him. No problem. I'll check with him.
No, I didn't direct him. Because as I said, even I'm not like an expert on this, sir. As I said, even in the starting of this talk, this is supposed to be a conversation starter.
Yeah.
And this is not supposed to be, I don't claim to be an expert on this, but as far as I think, there should not be a regulatory policy or a problem with that.
No. Okay. Thanks, Jatin.
Yeah.
I think there are no further questions. So let me start with my closing address. All things should come to an end, whether good or bad, but BelPy is definitely a very good thing. And this good thing was not possible because of the help of my team. So it just a thought came to my mind, and it was my team which converted my thought into reality. So I thank all my team members. Of course, I will thank them individually in this closing address. So the main idea of BelPy 2021 came to my mind in the month of November, and we were planning of some other conferences like FOSCON India 2020 again, because at our institute we had FOSCON India 2019, but due to this pandemic we were not able to have it. So I was also participating in lots of Python conferences online in 2020. So the thought came to my mind that why not have Python conferences online at our town. So of course we had earlier version of Python conference that was known as PyBelgum. At that time in 2015 I was just a participant. But this time I took a lead and thought of conducting a Python conference online. So when this thought came to my mind, I just floated the idea to my student team, and they were very enthusiastic and they extended all their support. Even their exams are going on now. They have just finished their practicals and their theory exams are coming up. In spite of their exams, they are contributing to this Python community. It is really appreciable. Of course, I have troubled them. I have messaged them during midnight also, but still they have uh, done a work for me, done the work for the Python community. Then I had several doubts on my mind regarding the online Python conference. So EuroPython community has a Telegram channel, so I am a member there. So they conduct Ask Me Everything session every 2 months. So I just signed up for one of their program. I think for November program, I just signed up there. So we had a meeting at midnight 12. So the members of the EuroPython community, they give very good suggestions. So many of them we have adopted, and the conference has been really successful, at least in terms of organization. Of course, we are lagging in terms of participants, but we have done our best, whatever was possible. But we are seeing the same trends everywhere, even at the very good conferences, that participants are not turning out. Uh, Definitely, we will have to address this issue on a larger scale in upcoming conferences also. So let me, uh, okay. So first, let me thank our sponsors. So first, I would like to thank Integra Microsystems for providing us the license of this Zoom platform. So since it is an online conference and we don't have any support from anybody, so we are putting all our money from the pockets and some money from the registrations, and whatever amount we are getting, that will be invested in our future projects. So I would like to thank Integra for providing us the Zoom platform, and special thanks to Shiddu sir. It is because of his effort we have got Integra as the sponsor. Then next, JetBrains has provided us 3 licenses of their editors. We know that they are the creators of PyCharm and IntelliJ editors. So we have 3 licenses. Maybe we will send the link to quiz, and the top 3 performers will get these licenses. So whatever editors they say, that license will be given to them. Then next, anybody can code.in by SMK Solutions. Again, Sidhu sir heads it. So even he has sponsored around 5,000 rupees for this conference. So we will be sending some goodies to few participants. Then next, we have large set of community sponsors. So our first community sponsor is Hacker Earth. All these community sponsors have spread a word about our conference in their various channels and social media networks. So Hacker Earth is one of our community sponsors. You can click on the link and try out their different challenges. Then inside Dev is a newsletter. You can go to this link and you will get the 1 year premium subscription for free. So all our participants will get 1 year premium subscription. Then next, most of you are aware, GulfScript Foundation, even they have collaborated with us. Then PyData Belgami and OWSP Belgami. So these are the two chapters which actually I lead. So these were started just last year, but we were not able to have many programs due to pandemic. But we are going to have at least one seminar every month. So you can visit these links, PyData Belgami and OWSP Belgami, and you can join on meetup.com. So the membership is totally free. Techie Programmer, I think it's an Instagram page with lot of followers. So you can follow that page to get more information about them and their activities. Then Belgami, it's a Facebook page of our city, which has got, I think, more than 2 lakh followers. So they are very active on the social media. So even they have collaborated with us to spread the news about our conference. So basically, everyone wants to make Belgaum as a IT hub, but it is not possible only from politicians. So even common people have to try and show the presence that these activities are happening. So then only there may be some possibility. Then next is the PyMug chapter. I'm not able to get exactly the name, but if you click, there's a website called as pymug.com. I think it should be active. Yeah, so it's Python Mauritius users group. So even they have been our community sponsor. Yeah. Then there's a company called as Zarfia. So the co-founder is one of our student and the organizer, Shreyas Kapale. So even he has supported, actually he had created a bot which actually sends the invitations to the potential speakers through LinkedIn. So because of his efforts, we could get more speakers. Then Mathematical Sciences Institute, Belgavi. So you might have heard a talk by Professor T. Venkatesh. So he's the director of it. So even they have collaborated with us. The next, FOSS United. So FOSS United is headed by Anand Chittipotu and others. So it's the, I think, FOSS organization which has come in recent years. They fund and provide grants to free and open source projects. We are hoping to collaborate with them on our upcoming projects too. Then Code for Cause is a community, young community, which is sharing technical aspects, or they are conducting technical talks and workshops across the country. They are doing really good. Then GDG Mysuru and TensorFlow user group Mysuru. So even they have been our community sponsors. Then Brooks ecosystem, then CodeScript community. So even these two are our community sponsors. So I should thank Karthik here for getting many of these communities to BelPy. Then next, we had a great lineup of speakers. So started with Alexander Haltner, then Anand Pillai, then we had Dr. T. Venkatesh. Unfortunately, we couldn't had a talk of Sudarshan Iyengar because of his last moment commitments at his institute. But he has a very great course on NPTEL, The Joy of Computing with Python. Then next we had two invited speakers, Dr. Srinivas Mangalvede, who spoke on NumPy, and Dr. Sriran Kulkarni, who spoke on IoT and Python. So those two talks have also been very interesting to the community. Then if we see the speakers here, we had very diverse speakers. We had speakers from different geographical locations, right from India, Europe, Africa, US, and we also had diversity in terms of job profession. That is, we had students, we had people from industry, we had people from startups, we had people from academia too. Then in terms of age, also we had diversity. So our youngest speaker was just 12 years old. Okay. So I feel that we need to encourage younger generation so that they can
12
become more
years.
confident.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, 12
12
years.
years.
Wow.
Yeah, 12 years. Yeah. So uh, also, I think more than 60 also we had uh, the age. So we also had a few female speakers, but we didn't had them in larger number. Of course, we tried to increase it, but this year it was not achievable for us. But we need to focus more on training more female participants and converting them to speakers. So I think we are lacking their bit. And we also have diversity in terms of talks. We had conceptual talks, we had core Python talks, we had application level talks, then we had community talks, and so on. So I thank all the speakers because because of them, BelPy event has been successful. So these are our speakers. And one thing what I say is that I think we had done a great job. Because of that, even many people like Chuk or some people from First United, they came to us and they have offered their help. So that's the positive aspect of this conference. And even at the last moment, we had received the mail from Invinia Labs to sponsor us. Okay, but we had not taken we had not considered their request because this time we had not this time actually we didn't require much funds. So since it was online and we could manage everything, maybe next time we will have a bigger conference, in-person conference. At that time, definitely we need lots of funds and definitely we need lots of people to speak. In that case, we can consider many other sponsors, and we also need to concentrate on increasing our community presence by taking up more community projects. Then last thing is about our team. So I should thank my colleagues and my team members. So first I would like to thank my colleague Rahul Kulkarni. He could not contribute much because he is concentrating on his higher study plans, but he had helped a lot in reviewing the proposals. Then next, with respect to publicity, we have Professor Raghavan Jadhav. Again, he is my best friend and he is my best colleague at my institute. So he has lots of contacts in terms of communities. So he has done wonderful work with respect to publicity. Then Sidhu sir, initially he was not a part of team, but somehow he got my number and he contacted us, and we thought of involving him, and he has done really a great job. So he's sponsoring our event, and he has got one more sponsor for us, that is the Integra Microsystems, which has shared their Zoom licenses for conduction of this workshop, this conference. Then next, Karthik Chaudhary. So Karthik Kumar Chaudhary, he is my student, and we have worked on the project right from Smart India Hackathon days, right? So whenever I had invited him, whenever I had approached him, he had never said no, and he has always done whatever is best possible. Thank you, Karthik, and
Thank you, sir.
I need your I need your help in future also.
Yeah, definitely,
The
sir.
next,
Anytime. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. The next, Prithvi. Prithvi is a security guy, and he is helping us in many of our projects. So he usually looks after security aspects, and he is looking after the code of conduct of the conference. So if there is any violation, you can report to him, you can report to me. So we will look after. The next, Akshta Gasti, she is also my student studying in 5th semester. So whatever nice comments, nice posts you are seeing in English, so it is her contribution. Then next in communications team, we have Varun, Nikita, and Megan. So Varun is at least doing a lot of things. So he's not into a single committee. So even Nikita has done a lot of good things. She has written mails to sponsors and posted the posters on the social media team, social media channels. The next, Megan. So even she has contributed with the content writing for media and press, and also she is one of the anchors for this conference. So in morning sessions we had live talks. So Megan and Varun Shiri, so they have been a great anchors, and they have helped us a lot in conducting the conference. Then next, Sahil. Sahil was involved in planning the conference, and he has used a tool called as, I think, Trello for creating the planning cards, and he has also created a very nice intro video. So thank you, Sahil. Then next we have Rohin, and I think Akhilesh and Rahul. So these three people were involved in designing the graphics, so such as banners, posters. So whatever nice things you are seeing, nice visuals you are seeing, so these three people have done it. The next uh, is media. So Shika has done a lot of work, so not specific into just media, but in several other committees too. The next, Anirudh and Saloni. So they are basically heading the program team, that is collecting the proposals, then putting them on GitHub and reviewing them and sending notifications to the speakers. These things have been done by Anirudh and Saloni. And Anirudh has also been involved in several other committees too. For example, sponsors, and he has also got some speakers to the conference. Then Shreyas Kapale, I have already mentioned Shreyas. He had written a LinkedIn bot which actually contacts the potential speakers and asks them to submit the proposal. So thanks to Shreyas, and also he's the man behind the Slack channel. Then Shreyas Shivkumar, so he has explored the platforms like Zoom and AirMeet, and tried to help us with the platform. The next, Sharan Jamnani has helped us to prepare a schedule. Yeah. And also in sponsors team, Anirudh, Saloni, and Varun have worked. Then in anchoring, so both Megan and Varun has done great job. And also the website, whatever you are seeing. So it's the contribution by Varun Shiri. I had messaged him yesterday also and the day before yesterday also during midnight, in spite of his exams, he used to update the website very quickly, immediately. So thank you everyone. So without your support, this conference was not possible. So I thank each one of you from bottom of my heart for your contributions, and I hope that you will support me in my future projects also. So the basic idea behind involving everyone is that Belgaum is the tier 2 city. It's not a capital city, although many people say that it's the second capital, but still it's a tier 2 city, and we don't see much technical conferences in cities like Belgaum. So if we see any technical conference, it is happening in either Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, Pune, etc. And we are far away from those places, at least 500-kilometer distance from Mumbai, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. So we are at a actually central place. So we need to develop the community in tier 2 cities. So it is possible only with the support of volunteers. So with this, I conclude my closing address, and let's plan for next BelPy, maybe in person one. Thank you,
Gajendra,
everyone. Yes, sir.
hi, Shiddu.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
it cannot be concluded. BelPy 2021 cannot be concluded without ensuring that your patience and your commitment, okay, or your commitment with patience has definitely made this happen. And you have a very good team. There's no doubt, because I am a newcomer to the team. I am the only person who has come newly to your team. But otherwise, I can see all of your team is really, really committed. And I don't know what is that, magnet you have, how you attract them to support you for such events. It's amazing. I really appreciate you and your team, and it was a wonderful experience for me being part of the whatever organizing activity, whatever I was part of it. And it was definitely very, very good experience for my team, which is been just for last 3 months they have been learning technology. Otherwise they were all, most of them were not at all technical people, so they really enjoyed the conference. And thank you very much. I wish all the best, and God bless you all. And expect me and count me in for any events, such events, or any projects in future. We are with you.
Thank you, Shiddu, sir.
And
Definitely.
I want to mention that yes, Belgaum definitely has potential to become another technology hub in Karnataka, because it has the connection between Karnataka and Maharashtra, so at the border. And I'm sure that is a good advantage, or advantage for Belgaum. See, both Maharashtra also will support and Karnataka also will support, so automatically it will grow, and it has lots of potential. It is just we have to be smart to use that advantage. That's all.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You will be definitely part of my team, sir. We are not going to consider you as a separate team or out of team. You are part of our team, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome, sir.
Can I add something, sir?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All are free to add their points.
It was a good conference, a wonderful conference. Like, I have never been a part of any organizing conference lately, or in past. I would definitely be a speaker somewhere or the other, but never got an opportunity to organize it. So like sir said that I was a student 2 years back. Now like Jatin, I'm also working in IBM Software Labs. So it's like working in IBM and then managing my startup, and then this conference definitely was little tedious. But then the kind of effort which Gajendra sir will always bring in, and the kind of leadership which he shows, definitely we are also tend to kind of do some part of it, at least 10%. So that 10%, if that can result in this kind of conference, then if we are kind of giving 100%, definitely the conference can be much much better. So definitely in future we can expect something big. And I, being from a small town in Jharkhand called Jamshedpur, I always had that I need to do something for my city, which I was not able to do. But then studying in Belgaum, I have, that is my second home, so I definitely want to do there at least something for the students there, to kind of be an entrepreneur one day or do something for their themselves. So definitely I'll be there, sir, to help you with any kind of these kind of support. Thank you.
Thank you, Karthik. We are ready to collaborate with you if you are planning something for Jamshedpur also, because we had a history from Freedom Movement. You know that I am from that background. So freedom fighters from Belgaum had also participated in the freedom movements in Bihar at that
Yes,
time.
yes, sir.
So there is no different thing. So if you are planning something for Jamshedpur like this, we will definitely do it.
Sure, sir. Yeah.
Just one word to
Yeah.
Karthik. Karthik, you have been a very interactive, resource for this event. Not these last 2 days, but even earlier also. And even I might be senior to you by age or experience, but there are things to learn from you. I don't know how you get in touch with all these communities and how you get hold of them to get some way connected to our event, right? So that is definitely a very good point you have. So quality whatever you have, so I would definitely get in touch with you. And I want to see how we can collaborate further, because I have been doing something very different, which you are aware or not, I don't know, but I'll speak to you separately and I'll explain what it is. Appreciate your involvement and interactive involvement in the event. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So if any of the members from organizing team wants to speak, they are free to speak. If any of the participants want to give their feedback, they can give their feedback. Stage is open to everyone now. You can just unmute
Before
yourself and
somebody
start
comes in, I
speaking.
want to mention three more names. I think Megan and Varun. I don't know, maybe Anirudh. I think whenever I contacted you and you said a specific department or name, when I contacted them, they were very responsive, and it was like a resolving something or giving a positive response and closing it. So thanks to all of them, and thanks to all the team. It was very good. Thank you.
Hey Gajendra, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah, so I'm just saying that I'll drop off now, but I just wanted to
Yeah,
congratulate you on your first event. I think, and your entire team, I think this was a great, great event. And in fact, this
thank
was
you.
my first talk as well. So I think that's a series of
Okay.
firsts. So
Yeah.
pretty awesome. Thank you so much and great event.
Thank you, Jatin.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jatin.
Yeah.
So it's open to participants also to give their feedback. Of course, we will send another link for Google Form where you can write your reviews, which will definitely help us to conduct the better event next time. But still, if you want to give any feedback to us, stage is open to everyone.
Hi, Gajendra.
Hi.
Actually, I want to give one feedback. Uh, I think that you should promote such events on social media also, like Instagram or Facebook. Okay, but I found I came to know about this session through LinkedIn, and actually not through BelPy or through some advertisement. Actually, one of the speaker, Gagandeep Prihal, he was my connection. So he put a post. Then I came to know that the BelPy event was there. So I think it would be better if you can post some ads on social media like Instagram, Facebook, or post ads on LinkedIn. So I think you could get better reach for your session. Means I think this there should have been much more audience. Means the kind of speaker, uh, the kind of the lineup that you had, uh, means it was of great value. So if you kind of put some more effort on the promotion side, I think you can do much better than this.
Yeah. Thank you, Akhilesh. Actually, we had social media channels, but I definitely do agree that we were lacking with respect to social media promotion a bit, but definitely we will consider it next time. So the thing is, we need hyperactive social media team. So I think only then uh, the promotion will happen. We will take care of it next time. Thank you.
But I think Akhilesh can actually write about the event on social networking sites and tell that what people missed, uh, by not attending this event. Right,
Sure, sure,
Akhilesh, you can
sure.
write about it.
Yeah, sure.
Please, thank you.
Okay, so I guess with that we finally conclude BelPy 2021. I'd also like to say a special thanks to Gajendra sir on behalf of the whole team for organizing this event and being the spearhead in everything, because really if not it wouldn't have happened if not for you. So thank you very much, and I thank all my other teammates too. So it was a really great experience for me too. And so finally, as we conclude this first edition of BelPy, and I hope we'll have many more, I'd like to leave you all with these words by J.K. Rowling that says, we do not need magic to change the world. We carry all the power inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better. So may we use our knowledge and our skills to change the world one code at a time. So thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.
Congratulations, everyone.
Yes, thank you, everyone.
Bye
Thank you,
bye.
sir. Bye.
Yeah.